A couple of drivers were handed penalties after Talladega. Scott Morales caused 3 incidents and will have to start in the rear of the field for his race tonight. Also, Chris Johans was running well over 30 miles off the pace after getting caught up in an incident, and so he will be stripped of 1 race on his part-time schedule. I will be competing in tonight's race, so I will hand it off to Scott while I get suited up. Thank you, Earl. Joseph Howard takes the Smash Beer Pole Award for round number 1 of the Las Vegas Deuce. Howard gets a great start and is able to breathe easy going down into turn number 1, and Damian Snyder is blown up right after the green flag flies. Snyder was 4th in points coming into this race, but he's going to lose his chance to defend that right as the race begins. This is also going to set back CJ Cameron, the points leader, as Snyder couldn't get out of his way fast enough, and Cameron is going to lose sight of the rest of the field. What a disastrous opening lap, but that does not affect the battle up front as Cameron's teammate Ricky Flush looks to the inside of Joseph Howard coming off of turn number 2. They're still fighting going into 3, and you're going to see that this brings the rest of the field right up to them. Several drivers reported during practice that passing will cause you to lose a ton of speed. Flush takes the lead from Howard, but now he's got Brenda Riggs breathing down his neck. And Riggs is poking Flush in the neck too as she gives the 31 a nudge coming off of 2. Flush does not seem to be rattled as he holds off the 67 coming through 3 and 4, but Riggs is able to get around him on the next lap. Amy Patty challenges her teammate Joseph Howard for the 3rd spot. Patty, in the very hard-to-miss Gold Star Security Nomoto, has had a stellar rookie season so far, with the exception of St. Petersburg, and today is looking to be another good run for that 73 car, the newest addition to MRD Motorsports' stable. However, looking back from Joseph Howard's car, Patty is going to have to wait a little while longer to get that 3rd spot as Howard gets a lot of momentum coming off the corner and sails away. Holden Roberts and Earl McDermott are enjoying their spots in the top 10 in the early stages of the race. Last week at Talladega, Holden Roberts got his first career top 10 finish, while McDermott, my usual partner in the booth, wrecked out on the last lap of his race. Benji Flynn is having a pretty good run in the number 36 Dalitz Family Racing entry. This team is using their own chassis called the DZ. It is modeled after souped-up imports, however the team has taken a little bit of flack for making their cars more than a little obnoxious looking. Back up front, Ricky Flush has retaken the lead, and Brenda Riggs is trying to battle back. She's battling with Joseph Howard for the 2nd spot, with Amy Patty sitting in the 4th spot, waiting to pounce if either of these drivers make a mistake. But Howard is able to hold off the 67 coming into turn 1, and he starts to sail away coming off of 2. Blake Camphausen has been nothing but fantastic in his few starts this season. He has made 2 starts and has 2 top 10 finishes. Right now he is in the top 15 battling with Kurt Walker for a position, so he is certainly on track for another great run. Casey Campbell made her first ARLA Elite Series start last week at Talladega. She came home 3rd in a race. Campbell is having another impressive run tonight. She is up into the top 15. Michael Madrigal is having another good run. He is up into the top 10. It looks like that 64 team's morale is still pretty high, considering that Madrigal lost his race at Talladega by half a car length. Back up front, Brenda Riggs is still struggling to try to get by Ricky Flush. She sticks her nose on the inside, coming down the front stretch, but Ricky Flush is able to hold her off coming into turn number 1. Joseph Howard still sits in the 3rd spot. Holden Roberts has now clawed his way up into the top 5. He got by Amy Patty, and now Earl McDermott is working on the 73. However, the top 3 are running single file at the moment, so Roberts is probably going to find it difficult to chase them down. Ever since CJ Cameron got left in the dust on lap 1, he has made up all of that ground and then some. He is currently fighting his way up through the field, and that is why he is the points leader. He is that much faster than the cars in front of him. And now Nick Howard has some kind of problem, but he quickly dives onto the apron out of harm's way. However, his issues are not terminal, and he will be able to rejoin the race, although he will be a few laps down. Ricky Flush is starting to build up a nice cushion on his lead. Kevin Monroe is now in the 2nd spot, with CJ Cameron clawing his way through the field, and now Ricky Flush starting to pull away. It seems that White Mountain Motorsports is really on top of their game tonight. The Scuderia Martinez cars had a very good run at Talladega last week, but unfortunately they're back to their lower midfield performance tonight. There are rumors that the team is in financial trouble, and running a 3-car operation is certainly not helping anything. Jeremy West in the Patterson Autosport entry also had a good run at Talladega. He finished 14th in his race, but today he is not doing much better than the Martinez cars. Hopefully that team can pick it up in the future. Back up front, Kevin Monroe has caught Ricky Flush, and he has no trouble passing him for the lead. You see that the top two have put quite a bit of distance between themselves and the cars behind them. David Jarrett is going to be the next driver to have a problem with his car. He slows up and dips onto the apron coming into turn number 1. I believe a tire went down on that car, and he will be able to rejoin the race. Here's the gap that Kevin Monroe and Ricky Flush have built up on the rest of the field. There go the 63 and 31, and here comes third place Allie Riggs along with the rest of the field. So Monroe and Flush are driving away from everybody. However, we are going to get a caution to bunch everything up. Watch Jason Bates in the 51. He drifts up into the wall coming through turn 2. Namimura is forced to check up. She dips low into the path of Amy Harrison. She gets hit by Tyson Lautenschlager and Kyle Eckerton. And Namimura goes barrel rolling down the backstretch, landing on the 70. And then Mura does several more rolls on the apron. The 39 comes to rest on its wheels, and thankfully Mura was okay after this wild ride. Her teammate Matas Kazimieras was right behind this incident. He drifts into the wall, probably reacting to this wreck, and he scrapes the 2 of Andy Pearson, but otherwise he gets away clean. And now we go on board with Andy Pearson. There is the wreck starting in front of him. He commits to the high lane, but Tyson Lautenschlager is right there. Mura rolls to the inside, and Pearson is able to get by. And now here's the shot from Tyson Lautenschlager's helmet cam, who had a front row seat to Namimura's barrel rolls. There's Eckerton giving her the shunt. And that is probably the last thing you want to see out your windshield. Lautenschlager was the only person to drop out of the race besides Mura. Every single car on the lead lap uses this caution as an opportunity to come into the pits. Kevin Monroe continues to lead on the restart with Joseph Howard in second. Monroe started behind the lapped cars of David Jarrett and Nick Howard. However, we get another caution on lap 63. Lucas Sweeney drifts up into Bigsby Foote coming off at turn 2. Foote is sent for a spin down the backstretch. Dan McKay and Bruce Wilkinson have nowhere to go except up into the turn 3 wall. And then McKay pulls right into Jason Bates, sending both cars for a spin. Bruce Wilkinson almost gets collected again. And Kyle Eckerton comes barreling in, smashing into the 10. Let's go on board the 47 car. Eckerton committed to the bottom, but he should have moved further down to the inside. And so a bad day gets worse for Kyle Eckerton as he goes out of the race along with Dan McKay. Michael Madrigal and David Jarrett blow up at the same time under yellow. Jarrett was a couple laps down, but Madrigal was running in the top 10. So that's going to be the end of what would have been another good run from Michael Madrigal. Kevin Monroe is still your leader, and this time he does not have any lap traffic in front of him. Joseph Howard remains in second with Ricky Flush in third. Howard makes a move on Monroe, but Ricky Flush gets a big run coming off of turn 2 and challenges Howard for the lead coming down the backstretch. Flush is able to hold his ground through the corner, and he will eventually take the lead from Howard. But then Kevin Monroe makes a charge. He wants the lead back, and he is going to take it with a little help from Joseph Howard on the inside. But Howard comes back and tries to take the lead for himself. We've got a lot of battling between the top 3 as the laps wind down, and despite all of this battling, the leaders are able to maintain quite a nice distance over the rest of the field. Blake Camphausen is in the running for a top 5 spot as we near the end of this race. That 046 car has come to life, and Camphausen now puts a little bit of pressure on Rene Ricarmier, who has also found himself near the front. Andy Pearson is going to go a lap down due to his damage from the lap 63 incident. However, Pearson is a fairly gracious back marker and lets the leaders by without much of a problem. Oh, he almost pinches Kurt Walker into the wall. Kevin Monroe has another go at the lead. Ricky Flush in the 31 sits in the third spot, ready to pounce if either Monroe or Joseph Howard make a mistake. The 17 washes up the track just a little bit, and Flush is there. But in the meantime, it's clear sailing for Kevin Monroe as the battle for second heats up. but Flush is able to break away, and now he is right on the 63's back bumper. And coming off the final corner of the race, Ricky Flush gets a run on Monroe, but he doesn't have enough, and Kevin Monroe takes the win. Despite not having enough to get by Monroe, Ricky Flush gets his best finish since Texas, and so does Joseph Howard, who won his race at Texas. Allie Riggs follows up on her Talladega victory with a 4th place run. Kurt Walker comes home 5th. I believe that's his best run of the season. Walker is second to Andy Pearson on the all-time wins list, but he has not won a race since his championship year in 2007. In 6th is Rene Ricarmier, who thoroughly destroyed the field in his race at St. Petersburg. We've had nothing but good things to say about Blake Camphausen. 3 races for this team, 3 straight top 10 finishes. I can only see a bright future for this young driver. In 8th place is Benji Flynn, bringing home the first top 10 finish for Dalitz Family Racing. Earl McDermott comes home 9th in the Zenith. Congratulations on that good run. But we will miss him up in the booth during the next 3 races as we run our Canadian rounds. And being Canadian, I know that Earl's been looking forward to running those races. And then Jacob Eichholz rounds out the top 10, showing that his rookie shootout victory was no fluke. And now we go over to round number 2 of the Las Vegas Deuce. Gary D'Souza leads the field to the green flag, so this is a good night for Wiper Ildis Racing so far, with a top 10 finish in round 1, and now D'Souza taking the pole in round 2. Outside pole sitter Ricky Navarro slips back at the start, allowing D'Souza to get away with Taylor Brillen in tow, and then coming out of turn 2, Brillen gets a very nice run on the inside of the 149. D'Souza and Brillen are still dueling at the end of the first lap. D'Souza leads, but Brillen has the line going into 1. In this round, it only took 2 laps for our first incident to occur. Nico Petrov in the 20 clips Bob Steffens coming off of turn 2. Scott Dalitz in the 18 is collected. Dalitz and Steffens go spinning down the backstretch, but they don't hit anything and are both able to continue. Taylor Brillen leads on the restart with Gary D'Souza looking for a way to get back around her. Ricky Navarro is still in 3rd despite not getting a very good start with his teammate Leslie Riggs in 4th. Rybert Scott in the Tutino has found his way at the front in the early stages of the race. A great qualifying run allows Scott to show the speed that he had in the late part of the 2010 season. Evans Motorsports has struggled in the early part of the 2011 season, but hopefully this is an indication of things to come. Caution 2 came out on lap number 9. Jason Teller in the 48 tags debutant Caleb Bezel coming off a turn 4, triggering a big crash. Wesley Savage goes hard into the wall, and one car gets launched into the air. That is Philip Borland in the 99. Paul Lyons in the 54 goes for a roll. Lyons' teammate A.J. Young is in there with a heavily damaged car. Here's another look at it. Chuck Bloomers in the 89 goes for a slide. Philip Borland gets hit by Paul Lyons and then almost flips over as he hits the wall, but then he gets a big shunt from Dumo. Nico Petrov and Bob Steffens were involved in the first incident, and they got into this mess as well. Hawk Slider in the ultra-violent wrestling machine barely missed this wreck. There's the smoke. The track looks like it's blocked, but Slider finds a path on the apron and almost hits the 89 car. Taylor Brillen uses this caution as an opportunity to come into the pits. Sergio Degel and Edwin Schwartzlowski follow. Ricky Navarro inherits the lead on the restart with Gary D'Souza in 2nd. Navarro has not won a race since his lone victory in the 2005 season opener, but he has frequently shown the speed to be able to do it again, and tonight appears to be no exception so far. Maybe he'll finally break through and get win number 2 tonight. But right now, he'll have to fend off Rybert Scott in the 33. Navarro and Scott have broken away from the field and are now battling for the lead. Scott has the edge right now, and Navarro's teammate, Harry Nola, is back in the 3rd spot. And then Leslie Riggs sits back in the 4th spot, making it 3 Riggs Motorsports cars in the top 5. Toby Armstrong is having another great run in the part-time Pearson Sweeney entry. He is currently in the 5th position, enjoying what is perhaps his best season in years. He ran full-time for this team for a number of seasons, but he didn't quite deliver. Maybe running part-time is just what Armstrong needs to succeed. Ricky Navarro continues to lead, but his teammates Harry Nola and Leslie Riggs are slowly starting to chase him down. And then the next caution will bunch everything up. Armand Mitra on the 175 gets into Cletus McGuffey coming off at turn 2, turning McGuffey almost into the opening in the backstretch wall. That could have been a very nasty crash, but thankfully it wasn't. McGuffey would drop out of the race, and Armand Mitra was promptly called to the hauler. Taylor Brillin leads on the restart. She was part of a very small group that came into the pits on the second caution, and this time around, everybody else came in. So Brillin, CJ Dejau, and Edwin Schwartzlaski would be cycled up to the front. Dejau in the 37 almost becomes Armand Mitra's next victim. He gets hooked and turned onto the apron, and thankfully he will be able to merge back up into traffic without hitting anything, though he does come awfully close to Ricky Navarro. I'm pretty sure Armand Mitra is going to have some explaining to do after almost causing 2 incidents in the exact same manner. Aaron Cruz is behind the wheel of the Motor Assault number 100 car this week. This was planned before the season began. Rachel Rainsford, who normally drives the car, is also competing for the Independence Trophy in the TM Master Cup Series, and so she will have to miss a few ARLA races due to those commitments. Aaron Cruz is doing a pretty good job so far, running up inside the top 15. Henrietta Laverne is another driver having a good run tonight. She is competing in her first season with Zenus, and right now she is in the middle of a sandwich made up of her former teammates, Eric Jackson in the 3 and Patrick Carroll in the 71. Gary D'Souza in the 149 makes his way back up towards the front. He gets a big run on Taylor Brillin with the help of Harry Nola, and they split AJ Young down the middle. Young almost drifted into D'Souza and Nola, but this allows D'Souza to get away with the lead. Caution 4 came out on lap 43. Rick Tyler gets into James West coming off at turn 2. West hits the opening in the backstretch wall and comes flying back up in front of traffic. He takes out several cars, including Anthony Griffith, Hawk Slider, Kayla Bazel, and Makoto Yamada are in there. I think CJ Dejau got a piece of that. Scott Morales was also collected in this incident, and what happened to him was rather weird. He hits a snag in the wall, then he gets hit by Jared Anderson and goes for a roll. Everybody involved in this wreck was okay, especially James West, who took several hard hits. Gary D'Souza continues to lead on the restart with Ricky Navarro in second and Taylor Brillin in third. Libby Bell in the 24 is currently running in the top 5. Bell, who is driving the new third entry for Power Steering Incorporated, has had kind of a hit-or-miss season so far. She had top 10 runs at Texas and Talladega, but her luck wasn't so great at the Rookie Shootout and St. Petersburg. Ricky Navarro chases down Gary D'Souza and challenges him for the lead, but D'Souza is not making it easy for the 34. D'Souza still has a nose on Navarro coming through the front stretch. Neither driver is giving up going into turn 1, and D'Souza still has the advantage coming through the corner. And now coming off at 2, D'Souza gets a big run, and he will remain the leader. That was a brilliant piece of driving from Gary D'Souza, and now Ricky Navarro is under attack from his teammates. Harry Enola gets by him for the second spot, and now Leslie Riggs wants third. Enola is enjoying his best run of the season. His last victory came at the New Hampshire Road Course in 2010. However, Leslie Riggs gets around the 45 and then would chase down Gary D'Souza. D'Souza is still giving it all he's got, and he's certainly not making Leslie Riggs' life very easy. Robert Scott is still hanging around in the top 10, so the speed he showed in the early part of the race was no fluke. This is easily the best we've seen from the 33 car all season. He's been able to keep up with leaders all night in a Tutino, which has not been the best car in the TM Master Cup Series this season. But then again, Mamba Kumengu won St. Petersburg in a Katsev. The field comes around to put Derek Dudding a lap down. Leslie Riggs finally got by Gary D'Souza. Dudding is currently hovering around 20th because of all the attrition we've had in this round. Caution 5 comes out on lap 66. Jason Teller in the 48 comes up on Makoto Yamada in the 22 and puts the 22 into the wall. He comes back up in front of Wesley Savage. Savage was in the lap 9 crash, and he was on his way to finishing this race. But now it will be 4 races and 4 DNFs for Wesley Savage this year. Looking at the overhead shot, Yamada drifted up into Jason Teller coming into turn number 1, and Wesley Savage was just an innocent victim in all of that. Leslie Riggs leads on the restart. Gary D'Souza was able to hang on to the second spot, and now Libby Bell is up to third. Derek Dudding restarted as the fourth car in line, so that will allow the top 3 to get away just a little bit. However, everything would be bunched up again because cautions tend to breed cautions. Taylor Brillin is going to get into the 15 of Rachel Gonzalez coming out of turn 2. Gonzalez goes spinning down the backstretch and will not hit anything, but not sure why Brillin did that. Derek Dudding washed way up the track, so maybe Gonzalez checked up, but still, Brillin should have really let off. Leslie Riggs continues to lead on the restart, and this time Derek Dudding is not up there with the leaders. Leslie Riggs gets a great start. Libby Bell is still in the third spot, but you just saw Robert Scott shoot to the inside of the 24. After a couple laps, the top 2 are able to break away from the pack. So in the closing laps of this race, it looks like it's going to be Leslie Riggs and Gary D'Souza duking it out for the win. Riggs is trying to get her first win of the season, and D'Souza is trying to get his first win overall. However, we get a caution that is going to end this race early. Packer Carroll gets up into the marbles coming through turns 1 and 2. He slides along the wall until he gets out of the corner. By this time, he's lost several positions, and now he holds up Mamba Kumengu. And coming into turn 3, he gets into Eric Jackson, his teammate, and Edwin Schwartzlaski in the 66 gets collected as well. Here is the aerial shot. Carroll drifts down to the inside as if he's heading into the pits, and I don't know what he was doing with Jackson. He's going to have a very hard time convincing people that he didn't see the 3. Carroll and his spotter were immediately called to the hauler, and then Carroll gets into the 66 while trying to drive away. This would create a duel to the yellow flag between Gary D'Souza and Leslie Riggs. D'Souza on the inside of Riggs coming to the line, and Leslie Riggs will lead at the yellow flag. Gary D'Souza just misses his first ARLA Elite Series victory by half a car length. And this must be especially hard because he really gave it all he got, trying to hold off Leslie Riggs and Ricky Navarro as they were trying to get past him earlier in the race. But in the meantime, Leslie Riggs is going to take her first win of the season at a screaming 50 miles an hour. This will be the second consecutive victory for Riggs Motorsports. Once again, tough break for Gary D'Souza, who was very hard to pass for much of the race. Henrietta Laverne gets her best finish of the season, and I believe in her career. Ricky Navarro comes home fourth after being a contender for much of the night. Harry Inola finishes fifth, making it 3 Riggs Motorsports cars in the top 5. Shane Lake came to life towards the end of the race, and he is rewarded with a 6th place finish, his best run of the season. Toby Armstrong finishes 7th, making this another great run for that 82 team. Alex Carson finishes in 8th, right behind his teammate. Libby Bell finishes 9th, so maybe things are finally starting to look up for her. And Dale Underwood sneaks his way into the top 10. And now we take a look at the points leaving Las Vegas. Kevin Monroe is now the points leader. Joseph Howard is 11 points back. CJ Cameron drops to 3rd. Jacob Eichholtz 4th. Ricky Flush is in 5th, putting both White Mountain cars in the top 5. Rene Ricarmier is 6th. And then the Riggs clan, Allie, Brenda, and Leslie, 7th, 8th, and 9th, respectively. And Lucas Sweeney is in 10th, 68 points behind the leader. And now for 11th through 20th, Andy Pearson is in 11th, 79 points behind the leader. Mambo Kumengu 12th, Leigh Gruel 13th, Gary D'Souza up to 14th, Damian Snyder in 15th, Edwin Schwartzlaski 16th, Bruce Wilkinson 17th, despite getting into a wreck today, Jason Bates in 18th, and then Amy Patty and Nick Howard are tied for 19th, 104 points back.